Hey everybody, it's Shey. Today I am going to be channeling the Akashic Records. So my guides and I have been working through a series of questions to ask the Akashic Records. So today I am going to answer them. So the first question is, what is happening on the planet in regards to the ascension of mankind? We would like to say at this time it is the year of the fire horse coming up, and the ascension of mankind is actually speeding up. Not necessarily your daily lives, but time. Time is going to be speeding up. Time is going to be faster than it normally has been. With that being said, days are going to fly by and you're going to wonder what happened. However, with that being said, this is the energy of the fire horse. So do not worry, do not dismay, do not get stressed out about it. It is just an illusion. All time is an illusion. So time doesn't really exist. But the ascension of mankind is starting to split. You have the 5D path and you have the 3D path. And most of you are evolving to have 4D bodies at this time. If you've been overtired and let's just say body aches, pains, nausea, things of that nature, your body is being upgraded. It doesn't necessarily mean there's a medical issue all the time. However, if you feel like there's a medical issue, please go to your doctor, but that doesn't necessarily mean there's a medical issue. A lot of you are evolving and a lot of your symptoms come from that as your body is upgrading to be more crystalline versus carbon. With that being said, that is all we have for question number 1. What do we need to do to help with the consciousness of humanity as it's splitting into the 3D and 5D? We would say you do nothing. You don't have to help other people. You don't even have to do what you're doing. With that being said, the consciousness of humanity is going to completely keep evolving. It doesn't need help from anybody. It is a natural progression into whether you're going to stay in the 3D path or the 5D path is what your soul has chosen. On this level, though, Shey is going to the 5D path, which is more, let's just say, love, kindness, caring, giving, and things of that nature, where you all can become telepathic and multidimensional. With that being said, a lot of you are starting to become multidimensional and accessing different aspects of you. And yes, it might make you feel like you're going crazy at first, but it's not necessarily that you're going crazy. You're just integrating other aspects of you that are in other dimensions. And these other aspects are connected to your oversoul. You can call them your higher selves. With that being said, Shey has been going through this for a period of time now, many years, and she has literally thought she was going crazy at times as well. But no, she has realized now that that's not what's going on. She's actually just becoming multidimensional, as many of you are. However, not everybody is clairaudient like she is and can hear. This will make somebody feel like they're going crazy a little faster than other people. However, a lot of you will be telepathic and just receive information, as you call them, downloads on Earth. With that being said, those are different aspects of you sending you information, your guidance, your higher selves. What is the purpose of having the experience we are currently having with the energy being more forceful as the year of the horse has begun? Like we said, the year of the horse is going to speed things up. However, in the interim, you are all upgrading and integrating different light codes that have been coming in, as you have noticed, if you were on this path. There's nothing necessarily you need to do to get to the 5D path. You're already going towards it. With that being said, like your 4D bodies are upgrading, your bodies are upgrading to 4D, and you're going to be having 5th dimensional, let's just say, sensory aspects of you come in. With that being said, you don't ever eventually go to the 5D unless you transition over. However, you're integrating your 4D body with your 5D aspects to get information while you're here on Earth and to help you along your path. What does this mean for us in the long term? Like we said, most of you are going to the 5D path. However, some of you might be staying in between for a while. The Earths are splitting. With that being said, some of you your bodies are upgraded more than other people's, and you are multidimensional already where other people aren't as multidimensional, and they're just now coming into that. With that being said, there's nothing necessarily you need to do with your body or with this path. You are going to evolve naturally. What does it mean long term, though, is what I was asking. With this being said, long term, it just means that you will be going to the 5D path and other people will be evolving still. With that being said, a lot of people are going to the 5D path too. So long term, like we said, it'll be more about love, caring, giving, things of that nature, where the 3D path is more, let's just say, the darker aspects, and you'll be going to more the lighter aspects. So that is where humanity is evolving at this time. No, not yet. Shey's asking, does that mean all humanity? No, it is splitting. So the 3D path is going to stay 3D, and the 5D path will go 5D, but you will split into more of the 5D path. You will not have to necessarily interact with the 3D aspects anymore that are there on Earth or other beings. With that being said, a lot of the 3D people or beings want to stay on the 3D path. You do not necessarily want to stay on the 3D path. You have chosen the 5D path. So you will not necessarily not see them in your reality, but they might be there, but they might not necessarily, let's just say, vibe with you anymore. So they will start falling out of your life. With that being said, there's nothing wrong with this. It's part of human evolution. It has been happening ever since you were born. You've had people come in and out of your lives. With that being said, that is what we mean by the long term. What is going to happen in the long term? Okay. How do we accept that the reality we have created is the one we are here to live? Yes, this is a very hard thing to do, actually, because a lot of you agreed to come in and have many, many different lessons in this lifetime and things that are really hard and very challenging. And you've had a lot of trauma, as many people have. With that being said, it is something that you agreed to come here and do as you were playing roles. Everybody is playing a role. They are playing their role to help other people evolve and grow. It is the game of life. And yes, it is hard to accept sometimes, but Shey's been able to accept it more, knowing that people are here playing roles, and not necessarily that they are actually this mean, evil person. They are just playing that role. They actually have a spirit body, and this is more of a dream reality. But the spirit body is not mean like that. It is just wanting to experience different roles, and so it came into Earth to experience the different roles and play different parts for different people. However, accepting what is going on, it makes it easier when you understand this, or it did for Shey at least, that, not necessarily everybody is like that. You wonder why people are so mean and evil, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with that. However, everybody has a soul, plan, and path. So if they came here to start that away, and they were supposed to evolve, and they don't, then that is their path. It may take them many, many lifetimes to evolve to a path where they aren't like that. So it just depends on your soul contracts and what your soul path was and what your soul lessons were you came here to learn. If you would like to know information about this, you can always access Shey, and she's an open channel, and she can access the Akashic Records or even your spirit team that can tell you what is going on in your life if you would like, or your soul contracts, or maybe you have a tough relationship and she can help you help to explain what is going on with that and maybe the different roles you've played with other people in different lifetimes. Sorry, it takes me a minute because when I channel, my eyes for some reason get blurry. And then I go to read and I'm trying to focus again, so I'm going in and out of different states. That's the reason why it takes me a minute sometimes. Okay. What does 5D energy feel like? 5D energy is more peaceful. You do not have the programs running anymore that are telling you all the bad things that happen in your life, or different traumas that have happened. With that being said, you have basically, let's just say gone to a frequency where they no longer exist. You are constantly shifting timelines and frequencies. So when you're in the 5D timeline, you're no longer in those timelines that have all the trauma and the pain and the suffering. Is there a way to speed up the process of staying in the energy we wish to be in? Let's just say that you all have your own soul paths and journeys. So it depends on what your soul wants. If your soul wants you to experience, let's just say, the 3D timeline more, or, in between, to the 5D, then you will. So with that being said, it just depends on your soul path and your soul's journey. However, having positive vibes, basically, the Shey likes to call it, keeping positive framework, will help you stay evolved and more in the 5D aspect. And also, the way you react to things, if you react in a positive way, what is this teaching me? Things of that nature, then it helps you stay in the 5D aspect more. And you're not looking at everything as a trauma. You're looking at it as, what is this trying to teach me type of moment, because your soul did come here to learn lessons. How do frequencies of others affect us in our daily lives? Oh, this is a big one. Let's just say that you're around somebody who complains all the time. You do not have to necessarily drop your frequency to be in that frequency, and you can support them by not dropping down to that frequency. With that being said, it is much easier said than done, though, as Shey has experienced. With that being said, just stay in a positive frequency. Do not actually get caught up in their frequency. You do not have to accept their frequency. You can just say, I do not accept your frequency. And you can stay in your own frequency while they're sitting there complaining still. However, it does take practice to get to this point to where you can maintain your own frequency without having others' frequencies, let's just say, bombard you. But it is up to you whether you accept that frequency or not. How do we make sure we do not drop down into a lower frequency we are not wanting to be in? Well, like we said, you can drop down to a lower frequency depending on what your soul path is and what your soul's wanting you to experience. And we know a lot of you are upgrading and ascending, and so therefore, sometimes you do not feel well, and sometimes it can push you down into the lower frequencies. However, that is just a frequency of your body healing and repairing itself. It's not necessarily a lower frequency per se. No frequency is actually bad, it just feels different. So with that being said, if you want to maintain a higher frequency, like we said, stay positive, and the way you react to things, benefits you in your life. You know, what is this trying to teach me? Don't go into the victim mode. That is 3D. Nobody should be doing that anymore if you're at this level, honestly. You might have a little bit left. You're still purging right now, but starting after the year of the fire horse, you should really have none of that left and be in the higher frequencies. What is it that is keeping humanity from moving forward into another dimension at this time, meaning going to 5D right now? As we said, you are evolving to the 5D. With that being said, some people are not. However, nothing is holding back humanity. It depends on your soul contract, honestly. And it depends on what your soul lessons were. If you've been learning your lessons, then you're able to evolve a lot easier. If you haven't been learning your lessons, your soul may keep you down in more the 3D. So just know that when you're trying to go through life, and you're not trying, you're going through your life, and you're actually, you know, having your day-to-day, try to stay in a positive mood, try to ask, what is this trying to teach me? Do not get in victim mentality. Because those are all more 3D when you're in victim mentality. But if you're in the aspect of, you know, oh, this is happening. What is it here? What am I here to learn? How's this challenging me? Oh, you know, this is exciting. It's something new. Then that keeps you more in the 5D frequency. And we do know when challenges come along, it is really hard for some people to do that and actually respond that way. But that is more a way of acting in the 5D versus the 3D. Does the ego play games with people? Oh, yes, it does. However, some people it does not. It depends on what kind of contract you had when you came in. Does your ego play games on you? Yes, Shey's does. A lot. All the time. And she's learning how to tell what is her ego and what is not her ego. But yes, her ego plays tricks on her all the time. And this is what a lot of people like to call tricksters in a way. However, there are other types of tricksters that are other beings. However, some people have their ego playing tricks on them. So if you are experiencing this and you would like help with it, Shey has been dealing with this for many, many years. She has been clairaudient for about 7 years now. And yes, it has been tricking her ever since then, to the extent it can, to try to confuse, let's just say she says the hell out of her, so she can figure out what is actually going on in her life. So with that being said, she has learned to actually connect to us and not her ego, and let her ego actually run the show. For a while though, she thought her ego was guides because she was clairaudient, and then it turns out it wasn't. So a lot of people might have gone through this as well, and if you have and you would like help with it, or you're still going through it, Shey can help you with this as well. She has learned many tricks over the years on how to tell the difference between the ego and the higher self, which we are. And yes, we are the higher self, and yes, we are in the Akashic Records. As when Shey does Akashic reading, she actually goes to the Akashic Records, and your higher self or your guides and loved ones are there too. So yes, this is her higher aspect as well, talking through her while she's in the Akashic Records. So our next question is, how are the solar flares awakening humanity? So at this time, the solar flares are coming in to actually push more light into everybody. With that being said, when the light is pushed into you, then the darkness comes out, meaning you are evolving, you're accelerating. The darkness is actually just different trauma and aspects of you that need to come to light that are out of alignment to be healed. With that being said, that is going on and what the solar flares are actually doing, which is the reason why a lot of people are not feeling, let's just say, right in their bodies. They were having a really hard time dealing with all these, let's just say, solar flares coming in, because it is purging and bringing out, let's just say, the darkness within them. However, there's nothing wrong with dark or light. It's just the darkness comes out from programming and conditioning. It could be from other lifetimes, and it is coming up to be healed and transmuted to light. Okay, thank you. Somebody had a question for me before on Ascension symptoms and what they are. So I'm going to have them answer that question real quick as well. As this process is happening, Ascension symptoms can happen. You can get heart palpitations. You can get, let's just say, pressure on your throat, your abdomen, your solar plexus, different parts of your body. Maybe you hear crown is tingling. With that being said, all this is happening to actually awaken you. So those are all Ascension symptoms. You know, you can have fatigue, nausea as well. You know, there are all sorts of things, but all these light codes are coming in to purge out the darkness. And as that is happening, it can actually get stuck. Energy can get stuck within the body and cause dis-ease, which means your body is not as ease because the energies are kind of stuck or blocked. With that being said, breath work helps with this. Breathing, letting the energy flow through, do not judge it. Somatic exercises and stretching. There's somatic release, helping you release traumas in your life. There are many different things you can do to get the energy, let's just say, moving so that the dis-ease will go away. As Shey experienced when she was in her 30s, she started getting thyroid problems and had no idea what it was caused from. from. However, it was a combination of things. It had to do with diet, and it had to do with energy getting stuck within the body with a disease. And since then, she's been guided to change her diet. She just woke up one day and didn't want meat, but it wasn't necessarily because she didn't, let's just say, want the meat. It was just because her soul was ready to move on and to heal. So with that being said, once she started cutting the meat out of her diet, it helped her heal, as the antibiotics and the chemicals and the things the animals are fed that are, go in their meat and then you eat it, they were all affecting her and her thyroid. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody needs to stop eating meat. Everybody is different. Everybody's on a different part of their path, and everybody has different DNA. So if you would like to follow her on Saucy Vegan Life, it is a channel she has created on all the social platforms. She's going to start putting videos out pretty soon, but helping people eat more plant-based. And no, she would never say nobody can eat meat. And yes, she might get a lot of flack for this, but honestly, she's using her intuition, as you will see her channel is about. So with that being said, if you'd like information, you can go to Saucy Vegan Life and follow her as well. But healing the body has to do with different things. The toxins in the body. You can detox maybe once or twice a week. Shey does that once or twice a week and drinks a liquid from a company that is highly recommended. However, with that being said, she doesn't necessarily have to, let's just say, cleanse the way that other people have to, as she has been cleansing for a very long time. She has been taking different detoxes throughout her whole life. However, she also drinks warm lemon water in the morning, which helps the body detox starting in the morning, and it helps with many other things as well. But with that being said, there are many different ascension symptoms that can happen. Like we've said, she's had her nervous system feeling like it's on fire, and nerves just killing her in her body, and this is all having to do with her body being upgraded to a more crystalline body versus a carbon-based body. So yes, there are many symptoms, but if you're having trouble working through all these and your body is developing dis-ease and you would like to work with her, we can work with you as well, as she channels her higher self and can tap into your higher self as well to give you information on how to work through these things within your body a little easier. So everybody's different, and so everybody needs something completely different. So that is answering the question for the day, and we look forward to her next session with you. Have a blessed day, everybody. Okay, I hope that answers everybody's questions, and if you have any comments, drop them below, or if you want any information from me, you can leave it in the comments, or you can direct message me. But I hope everybody has a wonderful and blessed day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.